this is the second tutorial going over the properties editor, and this one's going to go over effects, which are game objects, but like projectiles and visual things like explosions and other things like this. So let's get into it. If you open up the properties editor, we're going to start out by modifying the gun tower. So if you open up the gun tower, okay, so over here is the preview. And as you can see, there's a little bullet, and this bullet is a projectile. Well, this projectile represents gun 1, which is an effect. You can open this by clicking this button. Okay, so this is the effect, which is shot by the gun tower, and it's a projectile, which is the most common used effect. There's 3 different types of projectiles. You have a Aoe, a generic projectile, and a targeted. I'll go over all 3, but right now we're going to focus on just the projectile. And I want to go over some basic things over here. The lifespan, which is how long the object can stay alive before it gets removed automatically. This represents 10 seconds, which is a really long time. So these bullets usually go all across the whole map. But if we were to set this to a low value, for example 250 milliseconds, you'll notice that it doesn't even make it to the master. The lifespan is useful for many things, but yeah, okay, so yeah, that's the lifespan. Speed, obviously, that's how fast the projectile moves. We can make it super slow, as you can see, or we can make it really fast. And so you don't even hit now because this intersection's too high. Anyways, next thing is the intersections. So this represents what like if this bullet were to intersect a monster, what it would do. Allowed intersections is basically how many monsters it can intersect, even if it's the same monster twice or not. If you put unique, then it will only hit different monsters every time. You turn this off, it can hit the same monster twice, or however many you want. The tick rate is basically how many times it's going to check. So if you have a really low value here, it can cause lots of damage really fast. You can see like boom 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 before it gets removed. But you set this to -1, and it will see, it hits it many times. But you should be mindful of this because this is a way to remove effects, especially if you want to remove on the first hit. So if I want to remove on the first hit, I would set it to 1, and this is useful for things like explosions and stuff, which I will show you right here. So an effect essentially has the ability to add a start effect and an end effect. The start effect will be created where it gets started, or where it gets created, and in this case is at the beginning of this tower, which I can show you with some sparks. So if we set the start effect to sparks, you'll see that it now creates this new effect where this bullet gets created. And we can also add an end effect, which will do a little explosion. So now you can see that it creates the sparks and creates an explosion when it ends. This is important because you can do a lot of things with the start and end effects. Essentially you can chain if you want, but this is an easy way to create little visual effects with a simple projectile. I want to go over these other two types of projectiles, which are just they're very similar to projectiles. They get removed differently. So the Aoe projectile, let's close the gun tower and open up the cannon tower, and then we'll open up the cannonball small projectile. So this is the Aoe projectile, and basically an Aoe projectile will get removed once it passes the target location. So for this, it would be this monster. If it were to move past this, it will automatically get removed. So it's a useful way of targeting a specific location and cause an explosion there, even if the monster's not there anymore. And the other type of projectile is a targeted, which will only allow the targeted monster for intersection. This is useful for restricting only to that specific monster, which if you open up the flash freeze, I think. Yeah, flash freeze. It can only target this monster. And there's no intersections because it will only hit this monster. So even if you did enable this, it wouldn't matter. If this monster were to move out of the way, this projectile would just continue moving until it hits the edge or its lifespan expires, which this one has none, so it would just go until the end. But yeah, that's what a targeted projectile is. AoE is location, targeted is the monster itself, and projectile doesn't use either of these. It's just generic. Could use lifespan, tick rate, all that stuff. So okay, so those are the three main projectile effects. Okay, I'm going to go over a line effects, which are lines, basically point A to point B. So if we open up the lightning turret, you see bolt, and this is a line effect. Now line effects are kind of complicated, I guess. I mean, there's a lot of different values over here, which could be used to change the way it looks. So for example, the bolt is a lightning bolt, but if you were to open up the laser, this is also a line effect, but it looks totally different than the lightning bolt. So with like this laser, you can do different little things. I'll give you a couple examples here. there's let's see here. I think shock range. Just go back here. No, that's not it. I don't know where it's at. Oh, okay, pulse beam. Okay, so wave ray. That's what it's called, wave ray. Okay, so this represents a grow, expand type of line. So it grows and retracts. Let's close these. So let's do some little modifications here. If we were to turn this off, for example, it'll just go like that. It'll just grow and explode. So when we put retract on, it'll grow and then come back. Boom. Move will specifically just move it. Oh, well, this one doesn't because I didn't set the whatever it's called. Brain not working. Okay, pulse speed. Yeah, this one moves. Okay, so this is a moving line. As you can see, it's just a short little line that moves. What else? Move and grow. Yeah, there's a lot of different variations, and then there's a lot of combinations that don't work. So you just really have to test it out and look at the different examples. For example, the lightning bolt doesn't do any of the moving and growing. It can fade, but I didn't make it move and grow and retract because it's much more complicated. Some other examples here would be the fork. So fork is also a line, but this one creates an additional line effect at the end of the line. So it creates like a V, a fork, which you can see with these two lines. So if we were to open this up and we can change the color, for example, you'll notice right away. Yep, see those blue. So what fork does is allows you to create two additional lines at the end of this line, and this also works with the non-bolts too. So as you can see, that one actually moves. Turn off the fade, and you could actually change this to a bolt too. And there's many different things you can do here with line effects, but essentially they're just a point A to point B type of effect. So they're useful for very specific things, I guess. But you can do a lot of crazy things with these. So yeah, I think that's everything about lines. But like I said, there's a lot of values here, so you just gotta do a lot of testing. A lot of going through the examples to see all the different little things that you could do. Okay, so I want to go over some advanced stuff now. So I'm going to start out by going over chain, what a chain effect. So if you open chain lightning, Okay, so this chain bolt, this is a chain right here. Chain effect. Chain effects are effects that will create the start effect over, and it will chain, or okay, it will target a new monster up to 3 times within range. So you have a range, and you have the total number of times it can find a new target. So it will create the start effect, and for example, it creates the start effect at the tower to the monster, and then it creates it at this monster to this monster, and then yeah, and that's 3 times. But you don't have to use a line effect here. You can use basically any projectile. So if I were to, example, make it a cannonball. Oops. So you change this to cannonball. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. But yeah, this is it's a way to continuously target new targets, creating new effects. You don't necessarily have to use AoE projectile. You could use the gun bullets or whatever. Let's use again. And see it shoot, boom, boom, boom. Yeah. So that's what a chain is. It's uses this, but you can also use the end effect too. So for example, every time this gets removed, it create another effect. There's a lot of variations here using chains, so it's just one of those advanced effects. Yeah. Okay. And then I want to go over multi-effect, which is a effect that creates multiple effects in 2 different types of ways. Let's see here. I think yeah, sticky bombs. Okay. So this multi effect projectile creates 4 projectiles that spread out. So if you open up the multi-shot sticky bomb, you'll see these values here, and this is the effect that gets created 4 times, and it spreads out at 40-degree angles. For example, if I were to increase this, you can see that it creates 8 now. And I'll show you even a more advanced example here. So this one creates a whole bunch of different effects. I think this is about 6 or 7 effects in total. So it shoots, it uses a multi projectile to create these moving cluster bombs. Once they intersect, then they create a sticky instant target effect. And once that expires, and then it creates another multi effect, which spreads out in a 3D or a circle. And once they reach their maximum distance, they explode. Yes, very complicated, but let me show you here. So this is the traveling projectile, which then explodes. And then once it explodes, it creates a new multi-projectile effect, which then creates a smaller projectile cluster bomb, which then creates another explosion. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 effects that are used here. Basically, multi-effects are easy ways to create circles, like circle explosions, and you can do it like a shotgun effect where it spreads, which I'll show you here. Let's close all those. If you open the bombardment, so this one also uses a multi-effect, but it's just 3 exploding, so it shoots 3 missiles. Also, I want to show you the circle. So, actually, this is a timer, isn't it? That's okay. So this is actually a timer effect, which is a different type of effect. This effect actually creates the missiles, the multi-projectiles, every 150 milliseconds. So it creates 3 missiles every 150 milliseconds for 1.5 seconds. So for 1.5 seconds, it creates multi effects over and over and over, 10 times. Yeah. Timers are pretty useful for like if you want to delay something, or if you want to frequently add something. That's what a timer effect is. But I wanted to go back to the multi effects. So let's do this one. Okay, this is the multi saw blades. But I want to show if you change this angle to 0, it'll create a circle. Right, this is a circle. If you add more, though, let's say we have 15. You see how they all spread out in a circle? Like I was saying, that this could be useful for explosions. So, for example, if we were to change this to the frost, I think frost. Maybe that one. Yeah. All right. Well, that one doesn't move too fast. Or I mean, it moves too fast. That's probably not a good example, is it? Flash freeze. Yeah, well, that's what we're doing. Yeah, this just shows there's a lot of variations here. What you can do with the multi-shot. Just really gotta play around with it. Okay, let me see what else we got. So I went over the projectiles. I went over timer. I went over multi and line. Okay, and circle, we already went over that. Instant. Okay, instant is it's an effect that essentially gets removed right away. So once it gets added, it will be removed the next check, the next update. So if you want to just create, or if you just want to damage a monster or whatever, you would use something like instant, which I think can be represented with a sniper, maybe? Yeah, sniper. So this will instantly hit the monster for this much damage, and then it gets removed immediately. Um, as you can see, like there's nothing, it just does damage. But if I were to put a end effector, you'll see where it's actually ending. Where is it? Phase. Okay. So this is where it actually ends. It doesn't check time or lifespan or anything, distance, nothing. It's just an effect that gets added and removed immediately, which can be useful in some scenarios. So, yeah. Static is, yeah, we're not going to go over static right now or summon. These are for other things. Timer trap. So yeah, I think that's basically all the projectiles in the game. But like I was saying, there's so many effects here that you can go over and check.